Welcome to Lesson 9, Variables. Now this example will be a little bit more difficult than what we've learned before, but not too much. It's just understanding how to use and what is a variable. So in short, think of a variable as a block that contains a value. So in this example, we're just going to hold numbers. So block, let's say n or x, block x equals 5. And so anywhere we put this x block, that value will be 5. In our last mission, we made the drone fly in a circle. So let's take a look at that code real quick. So we had an on start, takeoff, we had a repeat twice, start rotating right, start or forward for 2 seconds, and then land. Notice that we have a 2 in 2 locations. Could you imagine, just as I've written, could you imagine if you had to write this, or you had location in your code where the number 2 was repeated possibly 10, 15, 20 times, and then you had to update it all to match the number 3? That would be a bit of a hassle. Just like the repeat block, there is a solution to make this easier and less work, and that's called variables. Now a variable can be found in the functions. So let's go ahead and let's start this new project for lesson 9. Click on the projects, create new project, select blank template, remove our initial actor, click on the plus sign, connect device, add the drone that you are using, make sure the drone is connected, open the code block, remove the initial code block, go ahead, let's rename this project. I'm going to click back to make sure and save this. I'm going to open it back up, open up the code block. And now, like every other example we've done, we're going to add an on start. Now don't add a takeoff just yet. So we're going to add an on start. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the functions. So the functions is this little fx sign right here. So we'll click on the f of x, and then we're going to click new variable. So click on the new variable block. A pop-up will appear that says create a new variable. Go ahead and name this new variable num, short for number. You may name it anything you want, but you'll see often in programming people use shortened versions of words. Click done, click create, and notice here on the left we now have a new block called num. That is a variable. Next, what you'll want to do is in the functions menu, scroll down and find the block that says set select variable to 0, which is located underneath the properties and the change block. Drag that onto the screen and snap that underneath. Now let's check what this block actually does. So let's drag it on over to the monster, and he says the set select variable to block set allows you to adjust the value of a variable. In other words, we can set the value of a variable. The first parameter indicates the name of the variable, so that's where we're going to drag the name of our variable, and the second parameter indicates the new value. So the first is the variable we've created, num, and the second will be what the value we will set it to. So go ahead, you can either drag over or click on select variable. So if we take num and we drag it over and drop it right on here, it'll change it to num. And then we say 0, click on the 0, change to numbers, and set that to a 2, and click done or OK. Now, anytime we use the num below this block, the value will be currently set to 2. Let's go ahead back to our loops, or back to our library, and add a takeoff. Now, let's go ahead and let's fly in a circle like we did last time. We'll add in our repeat block. And then let's go ahead and let's add in start rotating right and then forward for how many seconds. We can find those in the library. Start rotating right, scroll down to or back up to forward 4, drag those, snap that into the repeat block, and then let's go ahead and let's add a land at the bottom. Okay, now let's jump back to our functions. What we're going to do now, just like we did when we set the num value, now we're going to take the same num block right here and we're going to drag it over the repeat block and over the forward block. So go ahead, drag one copy over the repeat and snap it in. Drag a second copy over the forward and drop it in. Now, when we run it, the repeat block will run twice and the forward will run for 2 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push back to save my code. And I'll jump back in, click on this, and then go ahead and run your block of code to test it out. I recommend, just like the rotate, play with the number, change the number up, and see how it's affected since we're changing both the repeat and the forward values.